At the upper left area, there is a keyboard, the color of it is white, and there are hands which parallel with each other, which is right. At the lower left area, there is a hand which parallels with the keyboard, and it is the right gesture. At the upper right area, there are two hands which are twisted against each other, and it is wrong. The second picture in the right area, two hands are the point in the opposite direction, which are wrong. The third picture at the right area, there is a hand forming an angle with the keyboard. At the lower right area, there is a hand whose wrist forming a right angle. In conclusion, this graph is very informative. The following picture gives information about the height of trees. The items include hemlock, cedar, spruce, Douglas fir. According to this picture, in hemlock, the value of height is around 130 feet, and that of cedar is higher, which is around 200 feet. You can see from this picture that the highest value of height is in Douglas fir, which is around 280 feet. In conclusion, Douglas fir has the highest number. The following picture gives information about global warming predictions. Light color represents low temperature increase and dark color represents high temperature increase. From the map, we can see that the highest temperature increase can be found in North America, which is 6 to 8 degrees. Following that, the second highest temperature increase can be found in Africa and Europe, which is around 3 to 5 degrees. And the lowest temperature increase can be found in Australia and North America, which is around 1 to 3 degrees. In conclusion, the world is going to have global warming as predicted. The following picture gives information about simple circuit with light. This is a very beautiful picture, and it shows a number of things. According to this picture, at the central area, there is a battery, the color of it is black and yellow. You can see from this picture that, at the left area, there is a bulb, the color of it is white. You can see from this picture that, there is a line connecting the bulb and the battery. The electricity flows from the negative pole to the positive pole. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. The following picture gives information about Earth crust. This is a very beautiful picture, and it shows a number of things. According to this picture, the first layer is the atmosphere. Followed by that, the second layer is the crust. You can see from this picture that the third layer is the mantle. You can also see from this picture that the next layer is the outer core. The final layer is the inner core. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. The following picture gives information about the housing structure. When we enter the house from the entrance, on the left-hand side we can see a small kitchen, with a stove in it, and on the right-hand side there is a small toilet, and a place for a shower. Going deeper into the house, we can find the main bedroom, which is on the left corner, with a double bed and a desk in it, and the living room is on the right corner with spacious room, a long lounge, and some sofas. In conclusion, it is a very comfortable house to live in. The following pie chart gives information about proportion of languages. The items include Latin, French, Germanic languages, derived from proper names and so on. According to this pie chart, the proportion of Latin is around 29%, and that of Germanic languages is lower, which is around 26%. You can see from this pie chart that the highest proportion are Latin and French, which are around 29%. You can also see from this pie chart that the lowest proportion is derived from proper names, which is around 4%. In conclusion, Latin and French have the highest proportion of languages. The following picture gives information about the process of how the seeds can grow into a tree. The first step is about a seed, it is buried under the ground. The second step is about a seedling, which means the seed can grow after some time and the roots underground will begin to extend. The next step is about a small tree, which means there is a leaf growing out of the seed and the roots underground becoming further extended. Finally, the last step is about the tree. More leaves are grown from the stems and roots underground extend deeper and deeper. In conclusion, the whole process contains 4 steps, and it is an easy process to see the mature tree from a small seed. The following picture gives information about life expectancy at birth by sex. The items include years, males, and females. The horizontal axis is the year, ranging from 1888 to 2013. According to this picture, in 1888, the value of males is around 45, and that of the females is higher, which is around 50. According to this picture, the highest value of males is 75, which is in 2013. According to this picture, the lowest value of females is around 50, which is in 1888. In conclusion, the female has the highest life expectancy at birth. The following picture gives information about air temperature. Data of different areas are displayed on the map. According to this picture, the highest temperature areas are in African and South America. In comparison, the lowest temperature areas are in the Arctic and the South Pole. You can see from this picture that the moderate temperature areas are in China and Europe. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. This map gives information about the population density in Australia, measured in people per square kilometre, and categorized by 100 people, or more, 10 to 100 people, and less than 0.1 people. It is clear that the majority of Australia has a population density of fewer than 0.1 people per square kilometre, which is represented in very light orange. You can find these areas in the middle of Australia. On the west edge of Australia, the population density is about 0.1 to 1.0 people per square kilometre. On the east coast of Australia, the population is a little bit denser, about 10 to 100 people per square kilometre, represented in orange. In conclusion, this map shows very significant information about population density in Australia. The following picture gives information about 2 examples of input-process-output. It shows how the process is done. The steps include materials, factory, and product. According to this picture, the first step is input materials. According to this picture, the second step is to go to the factory. You can see from this picture that the third step is to become the product, which is the output. You can also see from this picture that the next step is data is the input. According to this picture, the next step is to go to the computer. According to this picture, the next step is to become the information, which is the output. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. The following picture gives information about the average rainfall in inches in New York, Dallas, Phoenix, and Honolulu. As we can see from the picture, New York has the largest amount, which is 47.25 inches, next to it is Dallas, which is 33.70 inches. When we look at the other 2 cities, they are significantly smaller than the first 2, with Phoenix amounting for 7.66 and Honolulu, 22.02. In conclusion, we may infer that the average rainfall in the 4 different cities is largely affected by geographic locations and specific climate patterns. The following picture gives information about how an apple seed can become an apple tree. It shows how the process is done. The steps include apple seeds, an apple tree, a flower, and so on. According to this picture, the first step is apple seeds. According to this picture, the second step is to sprout. You can see from this picture that the third step is the apple tree. Then the next step is the flower. Finally, we can get green and big apples from the apple tree. In conclusion, the process will repeat. The following picture gives information about water wheels with different rotational directions. On the left, we can see a water wheel, which is rotating anticlockwise. On the right, we can see another water wheel, which is rotating clockwise. According to this picture, the water wheels are both overshot ones, with a flume overhead, through which water flows down on the wheels. And we can see tail races lying below the water wheels, in which water falling down from the wheels flow away. In conclusion, the picture is informative. The picture shows a different part of the tree. When we look at the top of the picture, we can see the crown of the tree, which includes leaves on top, a twig in the middle, and branches at the bottom in the crown. Followed by the crown we can see a trunk, which connects the roots in the soil. Finally, the crown of the tree shares a similar size with roots so that they provide a lot of information to scientists. In conclusion, this picture demonstrates the structure of trees. The picture shows different eclipses. When we look at the left-hand side of the picture, we can see the sun. In the middle of the picture, we can see the moon, which is on the moon's orbit. On the right of the picture, there is the Earth, which orbits around the sun. As we can see in the picture, when the sun, moon, and Earth parallel each other, we can see the shade of moon called penumbra creating the partial eclipse. We also can see the middle of a shade called umbra, which means that there is a total eclipse. In conclusion, this picture shows the formation of different eclipses. The image shows the water cycle, also called the hydrological cycle, where water moves through different parts of the environment. Processes like precipitation, evaporation, and condensation move water between clouds, rivers, oceans, and the land. Water enters the soil through infiltration and becomes groundwater, which flows underground to rivers, lakes, or the sea. Plants release water into the air through evapotranspiration, while surface water flows as runoff to lakes and oceans. The cycle includes fresh and saline water systems, connecting groundwater, surface water, and seawater. In conclusion, the image effectively illustrates how water goes through a hydrological cycle. The following picture gives information about bird migration in the continent of America. In this picture, Canada is marked as a breeding area in blue, and the north of South America is marked as a wintering area in orange. According to this picture, birds will fly northwards in the spring from the wintering area to the breeding area, as the yellow arrow shows. And birds will come back in the fall to the wintering area, as the green arrow shows. In conclusion, this picture is very informative. The following graph gives information about food price versus oil price. The items include oil price, food price index, and years. The horizontal axis is years, ranging from 2000 to 2009. According to this graph, in 2000, the value of the oil price is around 40, and that of the food price index is lower, which is around 20. According to this graph, the highest value of oil price is around 140, which is in 2008. According to this graph, the lowest value of the food price index is around 20, which is in 2001. In conclusion, this graph is very informative. This picture shows the government expenditure in different sectors of education. It is shown on the picture that $11 billion are invested in education in total. At the top of the pyramid, we can see higher education, in which $1.8 billion are invested, followed by which vocational educational training and schools get $2 billion and $3.4 billion respectively. At the bottom of the pyramid, we can see the early childhood, in which 80 cents $1.4 billion are invested. It can be seen that schools get the highest investment, while early childhood gets the least. In conclusion, this picture gives very interesting information. The following line chart gives information of how to define overweight. According to the chart, the green area means underweight, with height more than 1.56 meters, and weight less than 12 stones. We can see the blue area is healthy weight, with weight less than 16 stones. We can also see the pink area is overweight, with bigger ratio of weight over height than healthy weight. Then we can see the yellow area is obese and the red area is extreme obese. Finally, extreme obese has the biggest ratio of weight over height, with height less than 5 feet and 6 inches and weight more than 74 kilograms. In conclusion, this chart is very informative. This picture shows us plastic recycling. The first stage starts with plastic bottles thrown into rubbish bins. Once this is completed, the subsequent step is to collect rubbish with a cart. After that, all the plastic bottles are crushed by shredding machine. Then they are taken away by a conveyor belt to be washed. The following steps are melting, extrusion and pelletizing. The process concludes with the final output of granules.